when you go through school, like this change happens, right? From like when you're in elementary school and kids don't know what they're saying and racial things happen that you guys don't have any like historical context to understand what it is. And then you get to high school where you start to like have a better gut sense about what racism is, and people know what they're talking about, or they act like they know what they're talking about. What I don't want to say like which was better or which was worse, but like what was that like navigating that, or like how do you think that affected you differently?
Yeah, high school. I think the one thing, uh, I don't know. I'd say is kind of similar, like adjusted for age and experience, I guess. But I don't know. Like part of me in high school was just like there's so many things going on. So like I was playing basketball and like I think that was one of those cases where I really held on to like I was pushing back a little bit more in other places, but in basketball, right, you have this incentive of you want to play and you want to succeed. So, you know, there's a lot of things that happened in that where I kind of didn't push back as much, even though I later realized, this is like kind of almost like the epicenter in some cases of where a lot of things were going on. Like, for example, my junior year, we had just transfers, not all black, but like we had three transfers, two black, one white, all from, not all from, but how do I put this? Yeah, we just had, these transfers who were going to be, slated to be like D1 or D2 prospects. And there's a whole thing there about that dynamic because we also currently already had a guy who was on its way. Everyone knew to the NBA at the time, playing with us. So, you know, that we need, and we had played in the state championship literally the year before. But so the fact that we kind of like stacked our team like that was interesting in itself. And I could say like personally I had some stuff about that just because I think I was at least headed to like some more playing time. So your personal stake is obviously like, well, I'm gonna be back on the bench again, yay. but beyond that though is like sort of watching the way like they treated it. Like we had one, we had one black transfer who I had a class with him in social studies, and I remember that like he would show up like halfway through class like every day, but it was with another sports coach was the teacher, and like they didn't care, like they almost practically like encouraged it. And then you know we end up winning the state title that year, and I remember like a little while later it's like they're still like basically like not encouraging the student part. And there was also, as I want to say, these are rumors. These are all rumors. That I'm not claiming anything, but there's rumors that like someone was actually like paying for them to like have an apartment in LO or something, which is another level of shady. But like I want to say for the cameras, these are all rumors. But anyways, I remember seeing him a couple of years later when I went down to the U of O to go to school, and this was a guy who was going to be like D1 or D2 prospect, and suddenly he's at the community college down there, and I'm not sure if he was still actually playing like on the team or not, but it's just like they basically used him.
Oh wow.
And like it'd be one thing if it's like we used him, but then we set him up to continue on the trajectory he was on. But no, it's like you used him to win a state title and then literally just threw him out there.
Wow.
Or you had other black transfer who, he wasn't as, I guess he wasn't as, gung ho on the whole, well, we're going to base everything we do on this team around this guy who's going to the NBA and you get in where you fit in. Like, because he he had college aspirations as well, D1 aspirations. So he pushed back, and they ended up just straight up demoting him to JV, and pretty openly ridiculing him, not just for basketball reasons, but like openly like ridiculing his intelligence throughout the entire time. And for what it's worth, he ended up transferring to another school in the league for his senior year, and ended up, I think he ended up getting a D1 scholarship, so it kind of worked out for him. I ended up seeing him. I remember seeing him a few years ago at this just gym, and just for like pick up basketball, and apparently he's like playing in Germany now or something like that. So it ended up working out, but it should be noted he had to literally get out of the school to do it. Yeah. But doing stuff like that where it's just like they use you, and like in my personal case, like I wasn't a huge prospect or anything like that. I was just a person on the team. But I remember like before my spring ball junior year, it's the off season. It's where it's not none of the lights or cameras are on or anything, but it's an important time because it's where you're jockeying for a position, and that's what kind of sets you up to be either out there playing or on the bench when all the lights and cameras come on. And I was having this great spring to begin with. It's like, oh sweet, I'm getting double doubles, I'm starting, I'm doing these things, and cool, this might be my breakout. I might have one of those senior years or something. Mm-hmm. And then 1 week comes where it's like, oh, the SATs are going to be this Saturday, and it's like I can't play that week. I need to, it's my SATs. They're kind of important. Mm-hmm. So, I asked the coach, who was, a parent of one of the players, can I have this week off? Thinking, it's not going to be a big deal, because there were other kids on the team who like, whether it was for like, spring like football practices or other, not SAT obligations, had missed games as well and had to miss weeks, and it was fine. So I'm thinking it's fine. I come back and like I'm basically put on the bench for the rest of that spring league.
Wow.
And it's like doesn't someone have to outplay me or do, because like doesn't someone have to like actually like take my spot from me before we do this? But it's just like, okay, that happened, great. And also it was interesting because at the time I was also a student columnist at the LO Review, which is the local paper. So I'm not sure if this had any connection, but I was also writing like political columns. Like I was talking about Katrina. I was talking about the fact that we don't read black books in school. Yeah. And it's like, it's Black History Month. What are we doing? Yeah. Talking about stuff like that. So I don't know. And there was a lot of hostility and to stuff like that. Not necessarily from parents, or at least not openly to where my parents would have been in earshot to hear them, but just from like people in the community about that. And we also, that same year, we had a pretty infamous incident during the state basketball tournament, and we were playing Lincoln, and they had a black player who was stepping up. The game was like basically out of reach at this point. We're it looks like we're heading to the next round, but our student section, just to, I guess, rub it in, it's like this black player goes up to the free throw line. Like I said, the game's way out of reach at this point, but they just start chanting, "You can't read, you can't," and hooked on phonics, and just like over and over and over and over again. And it becomes an incident, obviously.
Wow.
Because that's classy. And I remember being in like class like the Monday afterwards, because it had made the news, and all the kids are just being dismissive of it, just like, oh, it's just people playing the race card, oh my god, blah 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 blah. It's just like, really? Usually that whole student section just chanting hooked on phonics at this black guy shooting free throws. Like, really, but it's the environment, and so anytime it comes up, because these are the same people are like, you only got here because of affirmative action, or or my other favorite thing people would say is like, I didn't know you could speak like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you think I spoke like? Like, it's wild. Or obvious, everyone's favorite is like, can I touch your hair? Or all that good stuff. So I realized I forgot what the actual question was, but um, I want to say it was like, how do I navigate, or how did I navigate it in high school? Was on some cases, like, I tried to push back a little bit more, like, but I think the area where I really didn't was basketball. And just because it's like, I had I wanted to succeed. I had like little hopes of like, oh, maybe I can play in college or something, like, if
Mm-hmm.
things kind of work out the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember, yeah, after spring ball, before summer league, the coach had like the ladder meetings, which is basically like they have their own like rankings of players or whatever, and so they have you come in, basically tell you, this is where you're at, this is if you want to go higher or whatever, this is what you need to do. Cool. And I come in and look at myself, and it's like, they have me on the bottom of the ladder, saying that if they get and if we get another transfer, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, and I'm looking at these names above me who, once again, it'd be one thing if, like, not to, because I know it'll come off as like, oh, you're just bitter and whatever, but it's like, if these people had proven it,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you have all these names above me who, like, never mind the college prospects, just like everyone else was just like a regular
Yeah.
in that line like me, and I'm looking at these people who, they didn't have to prove they were better than me at any point. You just put them there, and you're telling me after all this that we're one transfer away or whatever from basically kicking you off the team. And then to add insult to injury, they straight up lie to me and tell me, well, yeah, a couple years ago we put you on. There was a guy who was supposed to have a place, but we gave his spot to you. And it's like, okay, no, that's not that did.
Why?
Well, they're trying to say it's like the same thing of like, yeah, you've done this, but we got to make space for the young guys or whatever. And first off, there was only one person who was the quote unquote young guy on that list. Most of the other people were like my peers, my graduating class. But secondly, was because I remember like sophomore year, because I swung varsity JV or whatever, and no, they didn't give me anything. I started off in, like, the example, I was like freshman, JV2, JV varsity. First day of practice, they started me off in JV2, and or first not practice, first day of tryouts really, but they were practices or whatever, how they're run, and I had to, show people, was like, oh, it wasn't even my basketball, because I don't think I played that great on the first day of practice. It was just like, but it was my conditioning, because I've been working with the coach and everything, and it's like, oh, I'm running fast, like I was a center, I was supposed to be slow for most of the time, but the point guards are supposed to be your fastest people, and like I was pacing them in like that first day, and they're like, okay, we're gonna just move you up to J. Like the next day I come back in and we're doing stretches, and then they're like, Bruce, come with us, you're gonna come up to like the JV and varsity practice. Cool, great, I've moved up to that. And then in JV and varsity practice, we run through those drills, we do all that, and then we have to do the scrimmages. And the only reason they moved me up to, I didn't even know I had been moved up to swing varsity, and literally until the first game of the season. But like I had to go in there and take it to these varsity players and basically be like, okay, I can hold my own against these people. And even then, like, and I say I didn't know till the first game of the season, I mean, like, because you have the JV game and then the varsity game after it. Like after the JV game, I just come back out to sit in the stands and watch the varsity games like I did all freshman year when I was playing freshman ball. And I'm getting ready to go into the stands, and the coach says to me, Bruce, why aren't you on the bench? You're supposed to be out here. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll be warming up with the team. So, like, for him to come back, 2 years later and say, we basically gave you this spot, and, you haven't, done what you were supposed to do with it. So now we're going to be giving it to someone else. It's just like, you're lying to me, and I know it, and I have no power here.